All right, we got from Super Mac Brothers, good content creator, nice dude. Star Citizen reveals the server meshing test results, which I'm very curious of because I don't know. I don't know what the overall result ended in. I don't know what Cloud Imperium devs have been talking about. Let's check it out.
Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. We have had an update regarding the server meshing tests. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Thank you for the support, it is truly appreciated. And if you do enjoy my videos, please do consider subscribing and helping the channel to grow. So we have a pretty thorough update regarding the results and plans for the tech preview tests regarding server meshing and the RMQ from Cloud Imperium. And today I would like to break this post down and talk about what else is coming in regards to Alpha 3.24.1 and Alpha 3.24.2 as well. So firstly, they have now deployed the RMQ tech, being the replication message queuing tech, across all 3.24.1 shards, meaning that Star Citizen no longer runs on the old NMQ. And with the RMQ, this was created to significantly improve bandwidth efficiency and maintain security for the game's servers, clients, and replicants. Now, this also aims to prevent major networking bottlenecks that we experience as basically prolonged interaction delays affecting multiple users simultaneously. And
I told you this is a very exciting time to be a part of Star Citizen. You'll never hear this. You'll never hear this from other content creators. I don't think anybody's talking about it like this. This is a very exciting time to be in Star Citizen right now, man. The thing that is the most important thing to make Star Citizen is being worked on, and you hear nothing about that. You hear no content creators really focusing on what is actually happening here. The thing that needs to be completed, dynamic server meshing, dudes, we are at that point where we're here and that work's being done, and you don't hear anybody really like excited about that. Like, hey, we're at the part where the shit hits the wall and we see if it sticks. Like, is this shit gonna work or not? And like, they're going to be working on it for the next year or so, like hardcore working on it, and that's a good thing. This is where they need to be right now. But everywhere else, nothing. You don't hear it. Cricket. Like, it's like nobody's fucking even, like, everybody's worried about oh no, engineering might be this and it might not, you know, like the topics are all over the place, but nobody's like, wow, hey, this is the moment, man. This is the crossroads. This is really important juncture of the whole project.
And this tech was needed pretty much after the first tech preview test back in March this year.
Oh, what did it say, Maddie? How you doing, hon?
A critical flaw with the NMQ. So they set about developing the RMQ. And with the RMQ now in place, we have seen 2 more tech preview tests, which I will go over in a second. But the objective of these tests, as stated by Cloud Imperium, are to, number 1, identify areas needing optimizations to achieve low latency replication at scale with the game and real players. Number 2 is to pinpoint game features and game environments that require adjustments for high player count. Number 3 is to uncover any bugs related to server transition, server recovery, and other quirks introduced by the mesh setup. And then finally, the last one is to confirm changes and improve the game experience at higher player counts from a networking point of view. Plus, it says that they're all...
Yeah, I think a lot more is going to be revealed in terms of this. I agree with you. Betty says, yeah, I think CitizenCon is going to be a big news show. It very well could be. I think that they're actually going to release some information about server meshing that kind of enlightens people, hopefully. I think they're going to talk about that a little bit. Obviously, on deck, a new system gets people very excited. The work that's being done here, the actual results from these tests, which we're going to receive here to see on this 1,000-player test, which you guys were all a part of. I didn't get involved in that, unfortunately. I've been so fucking busy in real life. But we talked to a lot of people in here, like String and others, that were saying things started progressing a little bit better. When some of our members first played, it was a little bit rough and, you know, wasn't the greatest. Then on the second day that there was testing, we heard some positive things, and then ironically String had a 30K as he was telling us the good news, and they had 500 players, and it seemed like things were running good in terms of frames. So really, all in all, like, it sounds like it was positive with my community playing it. Let's just keep going and really hear the results here.
Also aiming for a rapid iteration cycle to test their corrections and optimizations to ensure progress at each step without interference from other changes to the game. And their goal is to conduct weekly tests until it is time to rejoin the main dev branch for the 4.0 PTU waves. But they will only proceed to a tech preview test each week if they have sufficient changes and improvements validated for us all to play. Now, this is great to hear that they are planning to progress this really quickly with the intention of getting it to the PTU as quick as possible, but only when it's ready and when there's enough to really warrant a new test.
We're gonna listen to some Evocati members today on tonight's stream, actually, so that's gonna be interesting. Testing out the newest PTU build. We're gonna be talking more about server meshing tonight, so we got a really cool night planned for everybody here. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like. You're still here. You must be interested. Get your butt over here to the live show every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with these awesome people here live. We need you here.
Now, the testing pattern for these tech preview tests will be just like we saw with the previous tests, starting out with a single shard and 100 players, just to validate that there are no new problems, and then they will expand to a mid-size configuration, for example, around 3 dedicated game servers, 500 players, and then up to a larger configuration around the numbers like 6 DGS and 1,000 players. And then, as usual, they will eventually pull it back to a comfortable player cap and server amount based on performance, and leave the test open for a few hours so that more players can experiment and they can actually capture some more data. Which, as we have seen, they start out small and then over time they push it up to the absolute limitations where things break, intentionally pushing it to that point just so they can get the best data, and then they scale it back to a good spot where it is stable but with the increased player count and server count. And as we saw on the first test, they settled around 4 DGS with I think 350 players, and then on the second test, after a few optimizations, they got 4 dedicated game servers and 500 players. So I am very intrigued.
And that's the one our community was involved in, and it lasted a bit until the 30K happened.
To see where the third test will
Purely.
get to, how many players, how many DGS are they going to use, and if it's quick iterations, we could see them getting to around the 1,000 player mark while keeping things pretty playable quite quickly, I would think. Now, talking of playtests, there is a new tech preview test expected this week, and as of the last test, which happened on the 19th of September, Cloud Imperium noted that that test on the 19th was the first test with the legacy NMQ completely stripped out, and upon doing so, they were then able to implement the optimizations that allowed them to increase the player count while maintaining stability before the interaction delay grew and it became unplayable.
Dudes, like, to me, this is really exciting to me. Like, this is the work that I've been waiting for. We're here, you know, like you're hearing they're actively working on the server mesh, which is really the whole thing. It's like the kit caboodle for me. It's the make or break for the whole game. It's always been this. The entire game depends upon this in terms of what it was that we were promised when we first started years ago. The work is now being done right now, this very second. And you guys are involved in the testing of it. I think that's fucking exciting. Like, you don't hear anybody take it that way. Like, you know, like, it's crazy to me. That is fucking exciting to me, you know?
This test, they say, also allowed them to start
Space
seeing more
Chameleon.
gameplay-related issues as players were able to properly spread around the game world more, and it helped them to identify additional issues present, and they say they walked away from this test feeling very optimistic. Now, here is a list of issues that they observed, of which will be addressed as they push forwards.
Good.
Firstly, zoning in and out times were still problematic at higher player counts. There aren't enough XL gateways for players with the XL hangars to spawn in, leading to ATC queues being very high. The social systems are still...
That was always going to be a problem. That was always going to be a problem. That from the very beginning, I was saying that.
Tied to per game server and not game shard, causing channels to be empty. But this work will be done for 4.0, not for the tech preview channel, so that they don't introduce any large changes that could cause clashes. Higher player count and markers are a usability and visibility issue and have a performance cost on the client the legacy and interaction delays went up in the 1,000-player test, where clear new performance optimization hotspots were found, which they say is the focus for the next test. And there was also a hybrid crash that would cause a 30k error sporadically in a meshing setup, which they say is also the focus for the next test.
That'll be what they focus. Yeah, that's going to be the focus, and I think they'll be able to remedy that rather quickly.
Now, they go on to say that the missions won't be working on the tech preview test, as the mission system is currently being refactored for server meshing, and this will come with 4.0 on the PTU when it's ready. Plus, several other game systems, like for example the social system, are also being adjusted for server meshing, but again, we won't see any of that on this tech preview build. It'll be on the PTU builds that we see those get sorted, so they don't break the tech preview builds, as they are testing very specific tech here and not necessarily the game systems. Now, to finish with, he says that while these early results are a promising step forward, we are aware that challenges remain. We are committed to tackling each hurdle through rapid iteration and always aim to improve your gaming experience, and he just said a big thank you to everyone who has helped test so far. Now, it is great news to hear that they are aiming to push out new tech preview tests each week until they have the system working as good as they require it, at which point it'll then enter into the PTU for the Evocati and go through the necessary waves from there as it gets ready for prime time, for live. Now, the important thing to remember here is that there is no dates. We don't know how long it's going to take, but they are going to push to get it ready for 4.0, at which point it'll come to the PTU, and then we can all start testing it properly.
And will be really interesting, because after that point, then you're introducing a new system. If everything goes as planned, it's going to be phenomenal. You'll see that hype ramp right back up. Watch this. Do you feel the lull right now in Star Citizen? Like, do you feel like the void in the content? I do. Like, nobody's excited. Everybody's blah. This is it. How many times have we fucking been through this, man? So many times. It's darkest before the dawn, right? This happens to us every single year. Like Aether said it. Thank you, Aether. Appreciate you, man. Aether said it, I think last week or the week before last. Aether was like, yeah, like August is peak. Like, everybody's frustrated and like, fuck it, right? Like August, September, like this time of the year, it's just like peak negative saturation. And then like SitCon hits and it just ramps. It fucking moons. And right through Citizen, it's like it explodes out the cannon, man. And it'll ride through the entire year going into 2025. It might be hype. You know, I've been talking about this, how I think that revenues after this year will start to plateau. Maybe not. I mean, like, if you get a good hype cycle coming up here with CitizenCon and you blast off into the first quarter of next year and you've got 4.0 figured out and you've got a little bit more stability and you've taken your static server mesh and you've stitched it together in large concentrations of player activity and you've figured it out through all these tests that you're having players do for your game, and you've actually mapped out where you need to stitch those static servers at so that it can handle it, and so that you got stability going into 4.0 with a brand new system. Holy shit, dude. It could be a blast off launch of a 2025, quite literally, if they do this right. Something tells me the ball's going to be dropped along the way, probably. So I'm not getting the hopium up too far, too high. You know what I mean? You know, like I've done that before. I'm not doing that anymore. I stopped doing that years ago. Bar is at a correct level that I can step over. I find that if I put the bar at the level that I can just easily step over, then I don't get frustrated. I highly recommend you all do that, by the way, with this project. If you're new to this project, don't put the bar way up here, okay? Just put it nice down low so you can step over it and be like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, cool. So I highly recommend that.
Now, this means we are not far off at all, but we could still be a few weeks or even a month or two until we see a PTU. It really depends on just how smooth things go. I am sure that they are aiming to get it out as soon as it's ready, as soon as possible, ideally around CitizenCon, or at least be in the PTU for CitizenCon, but only time will tell if that is possible. Now, clearly there is still a lot to do, but with them specifically saying that they will tackle each hurdle through rapid iteration, they are not slowing down. And this is kind of it now. It is onwards to getting this tech optimized enough to be ready for a proper build, and then see what the impact is as more and more players get in and start playing
Crucible, good taste.
I obviously hope that everything goes smoothly, but as usual with this extremely important tech, it can impact a lot of things and a lot of people, and there will most certainly be issues that get revealed with larger numbers. But let us hope that they are minimal at best, and I am so ready to get on in 4.0 and see this monster of a milestone patch finally come to fruition. Now, I also really love and appreciate this level of communication from Benoit, from Cloud Imperium.
So do I.
This is going to be so important going forwards, especially with how impactful this patch is going to be, as communicating like this will give us a much better idea of how it's all going and what they're doing to sort.
That is so important. What Ryan from SMB is saying, Super Mac Brothers, is so right. It is so important going into the end of this year and into next year, especially in 2025, that Benoit Bessager is keeping us posted on server meshing updates and tech like he did on Star Citizen Live. I want to see more of those, at least 2 more by second quarter next year. I want to see him appear twice before the second quarter of next year on server meshing details. I think that's super important for the community. For those that are really following this and want this game to be what was promised to us, the server meshing details that could be given to us by Benoit would be, I think, very, very relevant to, the interest and our continued, excitement about the project. So please make that happen, Benoit. Jared, if you're listening, Benoit, I know sometimes you guys watch, I would say do that. That's just smart. That's just smart to do. Secondly, I'm hoping as we go into 2025 that they do have a successful CitizenCon, that they don't drop the ball, which I feel like they're going to between CitizenCon and 4.0. There's a lot that can happen here that's going to be messy, but if they really do this and plan for a successful 2025 in terms of revenue they want to pull in, they can't drop the ball. They could have a crazy good year in 2025. I don't think anybody realizes that. From this point in this drought right now that we're in, where everybody's and it's peak void in terms of Star Citizen content. We know it, we've felt it, we've dealt with this, the veterans, every single cycle, August, September, and then boom, October hits. CitizenCon, like I said, it's going to launch. People will get super excited. They'll talk about beacons, land beacons. They're going to talk about maybe the Pioneer. They're going to talk about HABs and player land and get people hyped up about the land. I don't think any of that shit's going to be ready for a long time, but that hype's going to be there. So you're going to have a lot of talks about that. I think you'll have a little talk about the economy. I'm hoping so. The new economist, or the guy who's been working there that showed up on the last Inside Star Citizen review about a month ago, that I was like, oh, look, an economist. I'm hoping there's something to be, talked about at CitizenCon in terms of the economy. So it's nice to see engineering being focused on. It's nice to see the economy being focused on. It's nice to see land-based type environments issues being addressed, beacons, land ownership. That's all very positive. That alone at a CitizenCon could just, it would be like if they did it right, the hype would be off the fucking Richter scale. And then going forward, man, they could take 2025 and make 2025 amazingly stellar if they fucking plan this right. But we'll see.
The issues. So hopefully we can hear from Benoit and others at Cloud Imperium more throughout this period as we approach pretty much the biggest patch for Star Citizen for however long it takes to roll out. And on a side note, there is a new hotfix patch on the way for Alpha 3.24.1. I think it should be out already by the time this video is done. It was supposed to drop a couple of days ago.
Good to see you.
And this patch brings help with
Daft,
blockade, runner ships, missing cargo,
Info Runners,
plus
buddy.
other fixes to help the landing zone freight elevators stop getting stuck
to see you,
loading
Execute.
content. They are also aiming to publish a 324.2 Evocati build. Now, they tried last night to get one, but it wasn't greenlit. There was an issue.
We're actually going to talk about the testing done with an Evocati member tonight. If you're joining us here on YouTube, try and get over to the live show. Like I said, Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We normally do Inside Star Citizen Review, but you know the season's over, so we're still having fun. We're never going to stop. It's always going to be Thursday here at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Get your butts over here if you're watching on YouTube. Great video. Go check him out. Super Mac Brothers. I believe his name is Ryan. Always brings like very unbiased, just very informational, very kind of soothing. You like the way he edited that video? I did. You know why? He's smart. You know why he gets a lot of subscribers? Because he puts that really cool background music at a right decibel level, and then he puts like ships, like spaceship pouring up there. And you're locked in, and then you're listening to the information. You're seeing things that you like. You're hearing music that keeps you seated. It's really smart. It's really a smart recipe. If you're somebody new and you want to start doing like Star Citizen informational news content, highly recommend going to check out Super Mac Brothers and copying that template. I think you'd have a very successful Star Citizen channel for real. There's a lot of people out there that want unbiased information. They want a dude that's just giving out information like Ryan here at Super Mac Brothers. There's not a lot of channels like Super Mac. There really isn't. But yeah, I like that video. Go check him out. If you're here live, let me give you the link over to Ryan's channel. I love the dude. I think he's awesome. Go check him out, and let's check out what's next. Oh wow! Hey, all right, Hugh Gifted Execute. There you go, Execute. Now you're subscribed to me, bro. Hugh is an upstanding gentleman. Yes, there's no doubt. No one ever argues that he isn't. Everybody here knows that Hugh is a gentleman.